Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning or this afternoon, whenever it is that you're watching. Today, I have Lori Biseby, and we will know what it is exactly that she does. We have a fantastic topic that we're going to be discussing today, and it's one of the biggest hits on the website divorcemagazine.co.uk. And so we'll be discussing it. We'll tell you in a minute what it is about. In the meantime, my name is Soila. I am the founder and editor of the divorcemagazine.co.uk. It's a place where you can go when you're going through divorce, and you can learn all about coping and dealing with divorce. So, Lori, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well this morning, thanks.
Okay, so Lori, could you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then can get into our discussion?
I'm a psychologist and I'm a relationship coach. I do a lot of work with people who are in the midst of relationships who want to create a good, vibrant, long-lasting relationship, with people who are trying to find that right relationship and create that right atmosphere, and also with folks who are struggling
Yeah.
within their relationships and hoping to repair relationships that seem to have broken down. I also work with people to help them resolve issues if they decide that they are going to separate or divorce.
Okay, all right. And you've been doing it for quite a while now, Lori, haven't you? The whole relationship thing.
Yeah, for about 28 years.
Yeah, there you go. So you do know what you're talking about.
I should hope so.
I hope so too. So today we'll be talking about one huge question we talked about yesterday over lunch before we decided to do the interview. And it's, can my marriage survive infidelity, or can my marriage survive adultery? We know that it happens. You know, adultery happens, cheating happens. Some people manage to go, to live through it and go through it, and some it is a breaking point, and that's it. It's that's the end. It's a deal breaker. So what would you say, just about infidelity, Laurie, and adultery in general?
I'd say not all infidelity is equal.
Okay,
Uh,
explain.
well, because situations that cause infidelity are different and types of infidelity are different.
Okay,
For example, an ongoing affair
okay,
is likely to have a far bigger impact than a one-off occurrence. Getting drunk at the office party and sleeping with the secretary
yeah,
or sleeping with your boss is a lot different than having an affair with somebody that's lasted over a period of time, which has required consistent lying.
okay,
It's the dishonesty that causes the problem more than the fact that there's actually been intimacy with another person.
okay. Laurie, can you lower your volume a little bit, because I can hear myself? Okay, okay.
How's
Thank
that?
you. Thank you. So, yeah, see, that's something that it's quite a good distinction, because we always just dump the whole infidelity thing into one basket, and we say it's cheating, end of story. And you don't actually consider what it is. And now there's a whole new realm of cheating, which is, emotional infidelity, or online
Exactly.
infidelity, or, all of that, which probably we can look at in a bit. So which, between the two that you have mentioned, how does that pan out in real life?
In real life, I mean, I think it's much easier for couples to survive infidelity that was a one-off.
Okay.
Infidelity that's ongoing. And that includes these things when we talk about he was emotionally unfaithful or she was emotionally unfaithful. What we're talking about is this person was intimate with somebody else,
Okay.
emotionally intimate with somebody else. They were talking about their deepest feelings. They were sharing their secrets
Yeah.
with somebody else and not with me. And I'm their
The one you're
partner.
supposed to be. Yeah.
And that's why that's so damaging. Sexual infidelity can be far easier to cope with. People can find loads of ways to explain it away. They can adjust their thinking so that it's not such a big issue.
Yeah.
But when there feels like there's been an emotional betrayal, that's far harder to
Okay.
move past. And people do move past it, but it takes significantly more effort.
Okay. And I mean, it might sound like a really silly question, but how does that emotional infidelity come about? How does your husband or your wife decide that I'm going to confide in this person who's, you know, of the opposite gender, obviously, if I'm confiding in a man and I'm spending a lot of time on the phone with him and going for lunches with him, we're not sleeping together, but, you know, I'm telling him what is not working in my marriage, what my kids are doing and my friends, and, you know, we are connecting in a certain way. How does that actually even start coming about?
I mean, in my experience, a lot of times that comes about because the day-to-day routine between a couple, they stop trying.
Yeah.
They stop working at being intimate with each other. Intimacy is quite hard work. You have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to say the difficult things. You have to be willing to have your partner have any reaction. You know, in the best of all worlds, no matter what you say to your partner, they're going to hear you. They're going to be accepting of you. They're going to work with you, rather than getting very upset and pulling away, for example.
Yeah.
Being disgusted, being angry. You, in the best of all worlds, you hope your partner never has that reaction. In reality, people are people. And so you may tell your partner something and it strikes them as difficult, odd. You see this a lot with sexual exploration. Partner suggests a new thing and it's like, ooh. Well, just that response alone is enough to mean that they're never going to bring it up again.
That's true.
Never again. Or the partner laughs because it's uncomfortable or it's new or unusual. That's it. That can be enough for the person to say, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
You rejected me. I'm not talking about it again. So they find themselves in a situation, particularly online, where you're not necessarily seeing the other person. There's an anonymity. If a person rejects you, you can just never speak to them again.
Yeah. You can block them. You can walk away. You can just, you don't have to see them. Yeah.
Exactly. And so people say all sorts of things to somebody where the risk seems less because they're not close to you.
Yeah.
The risk of rejection, if I'm talking to Joe Blogs or Mary Blogs on the other side of the world, who may not even be the person that they say they are.
It's moving a little bit much, the computer, so your image is kind of like going a little bit. Yeah, and maybe just that what you said about talking to somebody in another part of the world can explain the whole catfish thing, where it ended up actually being a proper TV program where you hook up with somebody online, and some people speak and they date and they get engaged online, and when they finally get together and, you know, you open the door and you find me standing there and you're like, A, you're not a man. B, you know, your name can't be so and so. So you look and then the other person says, but I told you everything about myself.
That's right.
I trusted you. I told you things I've never told anybody.
Yes, but if you lied about being a man, and if you lied about all the basic details of yourself, I'm not going to trust anything you told me anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a huge betrayal. But there are also a lot of situations in which it works out well.
Yes.
People meet online, but then once they're together, they've got the building blocks that they would have normally done in the dating process over time.
Yes.
To do.
Yeah. And when you have, just going back to right at the beginning, when you talked about the different types of infidelity, the one-off and the long-term one, isn't there like a third one that you could say where it's a serial cheater? So it's a one-off with Janet, it's a one-off with John, it's a one-off with Matthew, and so on. So where would that one fall? Long-term infidelity or? That
ends up being long-term infidelity because what you're talking about is continued dishonesty.
Yes. It is with long-term.
And it is with long-term. And I think it's important to realize that couples make different arrangements about whether or not there are going to be other people in their relationships. Yeah. Many people have really intensely emotionally intimate relationships with their girlfriends.
Yes, true.
With their male friends that pre-existed their romantic relationships. But because their partners know about that, it's not a betrayal. It does become a bone of contention. Why have you told her all about...
Yes.
Yeah. Why have you told her all about what I look like when I get up in the morning? Why have you told her all about the fact that I have been having trouble having an erection?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
You know, it can become a bone of contention, but it's known. It's known in advance, and it's something you contract around. It's something you plan around.
Yeah.
What gets people is that sense of complete betrayal that happens when your partner does something that you feel takes away from the relationship, and dishonesty is huge.
Yeah. And sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, yeah, just speaking about that long-term part and it being, I mean, it is a huge deal when you've been, I mean, sometimes it can happen over years and years. And there are two questions that I have for that. Is it really possible that you can be with somebody who's cheating over, let's say, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you actually don't know? Or is it possible that the person is actually not looking, or is just, subconsciously, unconsciously making that, I can't see thing?
Both.
Okay. So, okay.
Both. There are situations where couples are so estranged that they don't notice.
Wow, okay.
Because they're already living a degree of separate lives. They're trusting each other. When a long-term marriage or a long-term relationship, we go through stages. We go through individual change. Mm-hmm. The person you meet when you're 20 is not the same person at 30. So there are times in relationships, natural times, where people are less intimate, less involved with each other. If there's a basic trust there, you'll often hear people say, well, I can let him get on with the growth. I can let her get on with the growth. I'm here to listen, but I don't feel a need to be part of everything. Being somebody's everything is exhausting and as a rule doesn't work. Mm-hmm. People need different kinds of relationships and intimacy from different places. Yeah. So if you've been going through a stage of growth and kind of somewhat self-involved, you've just had a child, you're involved with the child, one of your parents is ill, you're involved with that, you're gone back to school to change your career, whatever it is, and you're less intimate with your partner, you can go a year or 2 years if your partner's skilled.
Yeah, without realizing.
At lying without having any idea.
Okay, we'll go into part 2, Lori. And in part 2, we can continue with this conversation, but also a couple of questions in part 2. How do you know when your partner is cheating? Okay. And can a marriage actually,
survive that?
Yeah, survive that. Yeah. Okay.
Grand, I'll see you soon.
Okay.